And I appreciate this opportunity to be sharing my work and experience as an academic mentor. And since the program started, I had the privilege of working with 3 agencies and 4 students. Here, you can see an overview of the agencies, projects, and students that I previously worked with. In brief, my research focuses on promoting social and emotional learning among K-12 populations. And in recent years, I pivoted to understand the way social and emotional learning fosters greater diversity, equity, and inclusion. And as I was reflecting on my experience with this program, it occurred to me that before I entered academia, I used to work as a school social worker for 6 years. So I had the experience of being at the other end as a community member working with outside researchers. And now as an academic mentor, I constantly find myself reflecting on my prior experience as a practitioner and considering what would be most helpful to support their work. And in this session, I will be sharing with you my reflections and areas of consideration on how these projects were developed. And in my work with the Community Academic Scholars Program, I primarily view the student to be at the center of the community researcher partnership. In my mind, this program is about preparing the next generation of students with cutting-edge research skills who will be leaders in a community addressing pressing social issues. And let me offer some thoughts on each of these relationships. Let's start with the community academic mentor relationship. Here, I recommend having an identified community partner before applying for the program. Ideally, we should have a pre-existing relationship with the community partner. And this was my case with the 3 projects. So how do we actually build relationships with our community partners? Let me offer some suggestions. First, provide guest speaking opportunities. If there is an agency that you're interested to work with, invite them into your class. The Dream House and the Urbana Neighborhood Connection Center have been into my classes to share their work, which provided me with an opportunity to know them better. Second, consider developing service learning projects. One of the courses that I teach at the social work school focuses on instructing students practice skills to work with young people. And as part of this course, I have students develop 10-hour service learning projects in youth agencies in our local community. I have students placed at the Dream House and the Urbana Neighborhood Connection Centers, and I communicate with these agencies to check in on my students' progress with their projects. That's how I got to know these agencies at a deeper level. Third suggestion, be present in the communities that we serve. And this is how I got to know the Muhammad Area Youth Club. As part of my work with the Muhammad School District, I was hosting town hall conversations in the communities. And it's through these sessions that I met the executive director. We kept in touch, which led us to jointly apply for this recent summer's program. The last suggestion here, offer our expertise and support for the agency's work. I apply grants to support their work, as in the case of Dream House. I also volunteer to serve as a consultant on grants that they apply for, as in the case of the Urbana Neighborhood Connection Centers. So lending our expertise is a great way to build and establish partnerships with our community partners. Now, you might be wondering, do I need a long-term, a long-established relationship with the community partner to apply for this program? Probably not. I only started to be familiar with the Muhammad Area Youth Club a few months before I applied for this program. In fact, I found myself deepening my relationship with them through this program. But that said, we also would not want to start to know the agencies only at the beginning of the 10 weeks and to be building the plane as we're flying it. So for those of you who are interested in applying for this program, but you currently do not have an identified community partner, or you are at a loss on where to start, I recommend that you reach out to Kelsey, Brandy, and the program leaders at the earliest opportunity. They can help you make the necessary connections. So how do I go about developing these projects with the agencies? Based on my experience, for some agencies, they may have something already in mind. This was the case of the Dream House. In the first year, they were interested in running a youth violence prevention program. In the second year, they were interested in STEM education, and I supplemented their ideas by looking at its intersection with social and emotional learning. For other agencies, I found that they were relying on us faculty for guidance. If you are at a loss for developing a project, I suggest that we do not reinvent the wheel. Instead, look at what the agency is currently doing and advance their work with our area of expertise. This was the case for Urbana Neighborhood Connection Center. They were already running social and emotional learning groups, and I was able to create a project on understanding how program staff adapted the delivery of social and emotional learning programs to the changing conditions of the pandemic. And we published a paper on this. For the Muhammad Area Youth Club, because it was a somewhat new agency for me, I recommended doing a needs assessment study on the families that they serve. And just before the summer, I received a grant to do a photo voice project of having youth take pictures that represents their identity, agency, and belonging. Muhammad heard about this project, they were interested in it, and we weaved that into the Summer Scholars Program as well. So ultimately, in developing projects, it is important for us to consider how it aligns to our area of research. I recommend that we have this conversation early with the community agencies so that we have enough time to come up with a concrete proposal for the summer. Now let's move on to the next relationship there, which is about the community mentor-student relationship. Now, I make sure that the student has direct contact with the community. It is critical to engage the student in meaningful work and not merely doing administrative tasks. Remember, the purpose for this program is for the student to deepen their understanding of the community. And this should be an empowering process for the student and not one in which the student gets disillusioned by doing community work. Create opportunities at the agency for the student to feel like it's part of a summer program staff. I structure my students' experience to be like a mini internship. We plan for students to report on specific days and time to the agency. The most successful projects are those that we effectively integrate the student as if they were a member of the agency. And the most successful projects also have a formalized supervision structure. How does that look like? For example, at the Urbana Neighborhood Connection Center, the student was constantly in contact with the community mentor to plan and implement the programs. This is also similar for the Muhammad Area Youth Club, where the student was in constant contact with the director to plan for his summer programs. Getting the student involved provides them with a sense of ownership of the program's success. So how do I exist to enhance this community mentor-student partnership? I plan for the introductory session at the earliest opportunity. Have the student meet at a community agency, and I always have my students to lead in communication with the community partner. And if possible, have the students start to volunteer at the agency. This was the case for Roxanne and the Urbana Neighborhood Connection Center. This was also similar for Allison and the Muhammad Area Youth Club. By the time the program officially started in the summer, both Roxanne and Ellie already had a well-established relationship at the centers. Staff were already very comfortable with them. Lastly, allow me to highlight some reflections on the academic mentor-student relationship. For us as faculty, it is important that we do not view the student as merely an additional summer research assistant. This program is beyond the role of an extra research help. Remember that we are promoting the notion of a community engaged scholar and not creating a scholar with expertise with secondary data analysis or merely doing a literature review or only working in a research lab. Ideally, the work involving the student should be aligned to our area of research. The most successful projects are those that have an established IRB protocol early on in a program, instead of having to build and develop an IRB protocol while this program has started. And in terms of mentoring the student, I think along the lines of creating an experience that also encourages the student to apply for graduate school and seek a career in research. I have these students work with my research team involving master's and doctoral students. And the most successful relationships are those that spurs the student to go on and independently present their experience at academic conferences, as in the case of Aaron Daly and the Dream House, or even publish a paper like I did with Roxanne and the Urbana Neighborhood Connection Centers. Ultimately, I view my role as an academic mentor to nurture students' abilities to infuse research findings in promoting solutions that addresses real-life, on-the-ground challenges. So being a part of this program has been an enriching experience for me. It has been a highlight of my summers for the last 3 years. I enjoy this partnership with the community as we can jointly decide the focus of our work, define the issues involved, and work out solutions together. While 10 weeks is not enough for us to do in-depth work, I see this summer program as a catalyst for further partnerships. It creates more research opportunities, and more importantly, it keeps me relevant to the needs of the community. And this is the kind of research work that I want to do. So on behalf of everyone, I thank Kelsey, Brandy, and the entire team there for leading this Academic Scholars Program. I'm excited to see the ways in which this program will continue to grow. So thank you for having me here.